Inshallah, today, taking the dars we learned from last week, we're going to talk about something very important, and that is to do with the respect and adab of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. As you know, that honoring and respecting Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the integral part of our deen. And anything that denotes his respect and honor is permissible in Sharia. In other words, if you do an act and the Sharia has not mentioned anything in contrary to that action, then that deed, that action becomes permissible. However, if a certain action is against the teaching of the Quran, or the Hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the aqwal of the Aimai Mujtahideen, then that action, instead of respecting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are dishonoring Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ulama kiram, they have given an example of sujood and ruku'. That yes, it is in the Quran that the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, and the parents of Yusuf ala nabiyyina wa alayhi salatu taslim, they prostrated to Yusuf alayhi salam out of adab, as mentioned in Surah Al-Yusuf. However, according to Ahadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the ijma' of ulama, we are not allowed to prostrate to anyone out of adab. It is only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ummah, Muhammadiyya, that we are not allowed to prostrate to anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to prostrate to anyone with adab, whether to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or whether to a spiritual person, it is haram and forbidden Sharia. Unfortunately nowadays, especially on internet, there are certain individuals, our Sunni brethren and sisters, listening to those whom they shouldn't listen to and reading things they shouldn't be reading. They are doubting one of the signs of Ahlus Sunnah Jama'ah, and that is kissing the thumbs when you listen to or when you hear the blessed name of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Now, of course, as I told you last week, the certain ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam may not be sahih as such, but as we're going to dwell into later on, that if a muhaddith, if a scholar says a certain hadith is not sahih, it doesn't mean it is fabricated. As we heard and we learned last week, there are 4 degrees: the sahih, and then hasan, and then da'if, weak narration, and then mawdu, the last, which is not really classed as a hadith, which is a fabricated hadith. So when a scholar negates the first initial level of hadith, sahih, it doesn't mean he's negating hasan or he's negating da'if. It doesn't mean it is mawdu. So sometimes there might be certain ahadith that they are not sahih. However, according to muhaddithun, they might be hasan. There might be certain hadith, they're not sahih and hasan, but they might be da'if. And as we're going to dwell into this topic later on, inshallah. Now, the books in front of me, inshallah, the first and foremost book I would like to talk about is the book of a great mujaddid, our Imam Sayyidi Ala Hazrat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Now, this is Fadail Ridwiyya, volume number 5 of the new publication, which is in 30 volumes. Ala Hazrat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was asked a question as regards to kissing the thumbs when you hear the blessed name of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Ala Hazrat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wrote a book in 190 pages. How many? 2 rasail. This is first risala. Munirul Ain fi hukm taqbil bahamain. This is volume number 5 from 429 and goes to 190 pages. Initially, Ala Hazrat radiyallahu, this book was a very concise book of consisting of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now look at the genius of Rasulullah, the in-depth knowledge Ala Hazrat had about a hadith. Initially, he wrote a small book, Munirul Ain fi hukm taqbil bahamain. And then Ala Hazrat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he dwelt into a topic that certain individuals who are known ahadith or ahl hadith, they doubt the authenticity of certain ahadith. So Ala Hazrat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wrote marginal notes, commentary upon his original book and it became another book. Okay, and the name of the book is Al-Hadul Kaf fi Hukm al-Di'af, which is also part of Munul Ayn. Now this is translated in Arabic by my grand sheikh, great sheikh, Huzut al-Sharia Mudazul Ali, into Arabic. And this is another one in Arabic. So those who are watching this, and of course most of the people who are doubting they are Arabs, I request them to listen and read to these books and understand what the hukam of da'if is. Now Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he begins stating that kissing the blessed thumbs or the index fingers is proven from many ahadith, from the books of fuqaha and the statements of the ulama. And many ulama kiram, they have acted upon this deed, proving the fact it is permissible in Sharia. Point number one. Point number two, as I said before, so when a muhaddith, when he mentions a hadith, and when at the end he says that this is not sahih, it doesn't mean it is fabricated. It means it is not at the level, the first level of the hadith. It might be hasan, it might be da'if. But it doesn't mean that just because a muhaddith, a scholar has stated a hadith is not sahih, it doesn't mean it is fabricated. Point number three. As we learned last week, when there are many da'if ahadith, okay, if you combine together, the actual text will become strong. Yes, there are many weak narrations. If you collate together, okay, the actual text of the matan of the hadith or the meaning of a hadith will become strong. Certain ulama, they have stated, become hasan li ghayrihi. Okay, and same with hasan, many hasan hadith, when they join together, become sahih. And point number four, this is very important for you to understand, that we only use the da'if hadith in order to understand a virtue of an action or a penalty of an action. So let's say there's a hadith of Rasulullah SallAllahu Alayhi WaSallam, that Rasulullah SallAllahu Wasallam has given us the merits and the reward of certain action. Now just because this hadith is da'if, it doesn't mean we neglect this hadith. Because the ulama kiram stated, in the field of amal, for a virtue, fadail, we are allowed to take such a hadith in order to promote goodness. And also if there's a certain hadith, that if you do this action, this is adhab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, that hadith might be da'if. But in order to make people abstain from certain actions, we are allowed to use that hadith. Not as aqidah, but as for fadail, for amal. Now, he then says, point number five, that if there is no hadith, let's say there is no hadith for certain action, then we need to check, is there anything against this hadith action? If it's not against, there's nothing against this action, then in Sharia that is permissible. Aslul ashya al-ibaha. This is something which all Ahl Sunnah should remember. So when they say this is haram, this is bid'ah, this is an innovation, first thing is ask them where is the Quranic verse or the hadith of Rasulullah explicitly saying this action is haram. If there is no explicit verse in the Quran or hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then no doubt according to Sharia, as the original state of everything, the original state is ibaha, it is permissible. Yes? So wearing, for example, a scarf around your neck, okay, you cannot say this is haram, because there's no explicit mentioning of wearing a scarf around your neck in the Quran or Hadith. Yes, if there's a Quranic verse or the Hadith or the ulama state it is haram, then it becomes haram. Otherwise, when Sharia is silent, it is permissible. And the last point he writes is, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that even if there's no Hadith to mention the virtue of an action by the action of the ulama. If the ulama kiram, the great ulama kiram, if they acted upon an action and they found it useful, worldly terms or in religious terms, that action is part of deen, as we're going to learn later on. Now, one of the greatest alim, Khatib Pakistan, Allama Shafi'u Qari rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate his status. He took the books of Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu, because now as you can see, I can see your face is very deep. Okay, it is for scholars to understand the works of Sayyid Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But nevertheless, for the common people, he has written a book in very concise manner, just mentioning few ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and alhamdulillah, the English is here. And inshallah, this book will be in your hands very soon. Now I'm going to go through some ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the merits, the virtue, and the excellences of those people who kiss their hands, their thumbs, and they rub it over eyes, and what benefit they will have in this world and akhirah. Now, just to begin with, he states, the great faqih, Sayyiduna Imam Ibn al-Humam radiallahu ta'ala says that every action, listen to this, remember this, every action by which respect and honor is intended is mustahab. Any action that denotes the adab, the honor or izzah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it is mustahab, it is recommended, you act upon that. Now he begins with one hadith of Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The reference is Tafsiruh al-Bayan by Sheikh Ismail Haqi, the great Mufassir, alayhi rahmatu ridwan. The hadith or the narration goes that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam ala nabiyyina wa alayhi salatu wassalam, and as the hadith says that as Adam alayhi salam was 60 feet tall, Adam alayhi salam, he had the desire to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he got to know that Rasulullah sallallahu is going to be from his descendants. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, you are not able to meet him because he is going to come later on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of the desire he had, he shone the light of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on his thumbs. And now all narration says his index fingers, that's what is called musabbaha. Is something that does tasbih. Because when the light of Rasulullah began to shine on the index fingers or the thumbs of Adam alayhi salam, it began to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did Adam alayhi salam, what did our father do? Our grandfather, great-grandfather, what did he do? He kissed the thumbs or index fingers and placed it over his eyes. Say subhanallah. And then this great Mufassir, he says that this act was practiced throughout the generations. Then when Jibreel alayhi salam, he informed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about this, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said, whoever after hearing my name in adhan kisses his thumbs and rubs them over his eyes will never become blind. This is volume 4, page 649. Moreover, another reference, Muhit, a great book, that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam entered Masjid al-Nabawi, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu was sat next to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam when Sayyidina Bilal al-Habashi radiallahu ta'ala anhu gave adhan. When Sayyidina Bilal al-Habashi radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he came to the point saying Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he kissed his thumbs and rubbed his thumbs over his eyes and said, Qurratu ayni bika ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The coolness of my eyes is by you, ya Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. After adhan, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whoever does what you just did, O my Khalil, my friend, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive all of his sins. Say subhanallah. Now also the similar incident has been, just for reference, by Sheikh Imam Abu Talib Muhammad Ibn Ali al-Makki in Qutul Qulub. He has mentioned the same incident, but the day was the day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, and this incident took place. Now the book in front of me is the book by a great muhaddith, Shamsuddin Muhammad bin Abdul Rahman al-Sakhawi, Imam Sakhawi alayhi rahmatu ridwan, who passed away in 903 Hijri. Just the time of Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti, just before Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti radiallahu ta'ala. المقاصد الحسنة في بيان كثير من الحديث المشتهرة على الألسنة. It is in Arabic, and Allah radiallahu ta'ala has given many references to this book. And this book has given us many hadith to give us the understanding of the importance and the virtue of kissing your thumbs when you hear the blessed name of Rasulullah SallAllahu ta'ala Alayhi WaSallam. He says that وكذا ما أورده أبو العباس أحمد بن أبي بكر الرداد اليماني المتصوف في كتابه موجبات الرحمة وعزائم المغفرة. He's giving, Imam Sakhawi is giving another reference of a book that Sayyidina Qadri alayhi salam, Hazrat Sayyidina Qadri alayhi salam, Khizr alayhi salam, he says, Hazrat Qadri alayhi salam, he said, من قال حين يسمع المؤذن يقول أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whenever you hear the name of Rasulullah, whoever says, Marhaban bi Habibi, wa qurratu ayni Muhammad ibn Abdillah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, thumma yuqabbili bahamayli, wa yaj'aluhuma ala aynayhi, lam yarmud amada. Hazrat Qadri alayhi salam says the same thing. When you hear the name of Rasulullah, exalted name of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if you were to say Marhaban bi Habibi wa qurrat ayni Muhammad ibn Abdillah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then he kisses his thumbs and he places the thumbs over his eyes, his eyes will never hurt. And then another hadith of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Subhanallah, that once his friend, he says, An Akhil Faqih Muhammad bin al-Baba, not Ali-Baba, Al-Faqih Muhammad bin al-Baba. He says about himself that there was a wind, أنه حبت ريح فوقعت منه حسات في عينه, that there was a strong wind and particles went into his eyes. فأعياه خروجها, so it was very difficult to take it out. وَأَعْلَمَتْهُ أَشَدَّ الْأَلَمِ, it was very severe, the pain was very severe, yeah, because of the dust particles that entered his eyes. وَأَنَّهُ لَمَّا سَمِعَ الْمُؤَذِّنِ, when this great faqih, when he heard the mu'adhin, يَقُولُ أَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم, قَالَ ذَلِكَ, he said the same thing. فَخَرَجَتِ and then he did the same thing. فَخَرَجَتِ الْحَسَاتُ مِنْ فَوْقِ, immediately the particles came out of his eyes. وقال الرداد, Imam Raddad, he says, listen to this, وهذا يسير, what I said, وهذا يسير في جنب فضاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, to take certain these ahadith narrations, it is good. Islam and Sharia allows in order to understand the virtue of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah, and many hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. And Ibn Salih, a great muhaddith, a great faqih, he says, Ana wallahi, Ana walillahi alhamd, I by, and then he praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, walillahi alhamdu wa shukr, mundu sami'tuhu minhuma, when I heard about this from my two teachers, ista'maltuhu, I began to act upon it, falam tarmud aynayya, my eyes never felt any pain. And then he says, this muhaddith, وَأَرْجُو, and I hope, أَنَّ عَافِيَتَهُمَا تَدُومُ, that the eyes, the afiyah, the protection of my eyes will be forever. وَأَنِّ أُسْلَمَ مِنَ الْعَمَى, and Allah, inshaAllah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect me from blindness. This is a great muhaddith. And there's many hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. In one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inshallah, just few minutes, in Sharh Niqayah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, it is in this book, he says, it should be known that no doubt to recite Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah, Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the first shahada. When ashhadu, twice, you hear the name twice. So when you hear the first time, you should recite this. And to recite Qurratu Aini bika ya Rasulullah in the second is mustahab. One should rub his thumbs on the eyes and recite Allahumma matti'ni bis-sam'i wal-basar. Recite after me. Allahumma matti'ni bis-sam'i wal-basar. Oh Allah, protect my hearing and protect my eyesight. The faqih says, in Shari Niqaya, the Prophet ﷺ will take him into Jannah. If you make a habit to act upon this, Rasulullah ﷺ will hold your hand and he will take you into Jannah, inshallah. And that is why in the hadith, which is written in Allama Shami, as I'm gonna show it to you next moment, that he says, he narrates one hadith, that I will lead him to Jannah and put him, the one who does this, and put him in the row sufuf of those who will enter Jannah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect his eyes from all ailments and all harm, inshallah. Now, this book is from a great faqih, great author of Ahnaf, Ibn Abidin Shami, alayhi rahmatu ridwan. Probably some of you know this name. The Ahl Dayabana, from those who are from the school of Deoband, they use this book and they use this as a book of reference. Okay, he was known as the final jurist. Yes, Ibn Abidin Shami radiallahu ta'ala. This is Al-Juz al-Thani, the second volume. Page 627. Okay, it is in the chapter of Adhan, the final chapter in the chapter of Adhan. Look at this great faqih what he says. He says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ أَن يُقَالَ عِنْدَ سَمَاعِ الْأُولَى مِنَ الشَّهَادَةِ. As we heard before, it is recommended that to be said when you hear the first shahada, SallAllahu alayka ya Rasulullah. SallAllahu. Not only proves that it's permissible to kiss your hands, but these fuqaha, they said it is permissible to say SallAllahu alayka ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَإِنَّ الثَّانِيَةِ مِنْهَا. And from the shahada of the second one says قَرَّتْ عَيْنِ, or the another قُرَّةُ عَيْنِ. قَرَّتْ عَيْنِ بِكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ يَقُولُ اللَّهُمَّ مَتِّعْنِي بِالسَّمْعِ وَالْبَصَرِ بَعْدَ وَضْعِ ظُفَرَيْ الْإِبْهَامَيْنِ عَلَى الْعَيْنَيْنِ. After placing the two thumbs upon his eyes. فَإِنَّهُ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ. Because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam يَكُونُ قَاعِدًا لَهُ إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will lead him to Jannah. And this is the completion of discussion of Adhan. Now, even if the people argue that we still do not believe, then this is the last resort. This is a book, Mukammal Ilmul Fiqh Urdu. And this is a book, you can buy it if you're unaware of it, from the bookshops, from the other sects. Okay, this has been published in Mir Muhammad Kutub Khana, Alambagh, Karachi. Okay, now this is written is on fiqh. Now, just in the preface of the book, let me just narrate to you before I mention anything about this book. The author, Maulvi Muhammad Abdul Shakur Sahib Farooqi Lucknowi. Okay, the author of this book. Okay, he says about this book, page number 2, the preface of the book. हर मसले में वही कौल लिखा जाएगा जिस पर फतवा है. We will only mention in this book those rulings upon which there are verdicts of the ulama. मुफ्ता बिही कौल. मुख्तलिफ अक़वाल और रिवायत का जिक्र ना किया जाएगा. We will not mention any difference of opinions. Why? ताकि देखने वाले के ज़हन को इंतशार ना हो. So that it doesn't create confusion to a person who's reading this book. Because this book is for the awam, for the common people, for the layman. So just to avoid any confusion, they stated we only write in this book those rulings upon which the ulama have agreed they are sahih, they are sound. And then he says later on, जब कोई ऐसा नंबर 5, जब कोई ऐसा मसला पेश आवे कि जिसका हुक्म कुतुब फिक्र में नहीं, if there are certain rulings that we cannot find from books of the fuqaha, या सख्त इख्तिलाफ की वजह से एक दो शख्स फैसला ना कर सके, or because there's difference of opinions, if two ulama or two muftiyan kiram, they cannot agree, they cannot come to a conclusion, to ulama Arab wa Ajam से मशवरा करके मुहक्कक कौल लिख दिया जाएगा. Then if there are different opinions or rulings, then we will resort to the ulama of Arab and the ulama of Ajab, non-Arabs, and the most researched and the most mutahaqqaq call, the statement will be written in this book. Is that understood? In other words, everything which is here, according to the Musannif and according to the Ahl Dayamana, who read this book, they sell this book, they print this book, their students read this book, and the common people read this book, according to them, every ruling is according to Sharia, and it is sahih and sound. Yes or no? Yes. Now this is Hissa number 2, Jildom, page 18. Okay, so page 18 of this book. Number 11, point number 11 about Adhan. Again the same thing. अजान सुनने वाले को मुस्तहब है कि पहली मरतबा अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सुने तो ये भी कहें, they should say this as well, सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि या रसूलल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. और जब दूसरी मरतबा सुने तो अपने दोनों हाथ के अंगूठों को के नाखूनों को आँख पर रख कर कहे, yeah, placing the thumbs on his eyes, he should say this, qurratu ayni bika ya Rasulallah, Allahumma matti'ni bis-sami wal-basar. Okay, and they also given the translation of the Arabic. So in the footnote he says, मेरी आंखों की ठंडक आप ही से है ए रसूलुल्लाह, अल्लाह मुझे फ़ायदा मंद कर समा और बसर से. Will Allah protect my hearing and protect my eyesight. So from this and the books of ulama and the muhaddithun, one thing is clear. Okay, please, there are certain individuals from Ahlul Sunnah Jama'ah, our own Sunni brothers. Okay, I've seen myself in the nearest the masjid we have, Masjid Islam, the people, they're going on internet and just listening to few certain ulama kiram. They think they are the legends of the time, they think they know everything. And listen to them, they are now doubtful whether to kiss the thumbs is permissible or impermissible. No doubt, after all this, the doubt should have cleared and have been made more clear that no doubt kissing the thumbs when you listen to the honorable name, the respected name of Rasulullah SallAllahu Alayhi WaSallam is recommended, it's a mustahab, and it's full of virtue and excellence by which one can benefit in this world, and inshallah Yawm al-Qiyamah he will be with Rasulullah SallAllahu Alayhi WaSallam and he will enter Jannah with Rasulullah SallAllahu Ta'ala Alayhi WaSallam. So pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to stick to the truth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give our youth the true understanding that no doubt Ahlul Sunnah Jama'ah, the maslak of Sayyid Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu is not his own maslak, but as we heard that, and those brothers who still doubt, I recommend them to read the book Al-Hadul Kaf, which is also in Arabic and which is in Urdu, to dwell into this topic, try to understand the science of hadith, that yes, just because the muhaddith says that certain hadith is not sahih, it doesn't negate the fact that we're not allowed to act upon certain ahadith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give everyone tawfiq wa akhdaw. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.